Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here, and today we're going to be discussing Pheromosa in the post-DLC 2 Crown Tundra OU metagame. So for those of you who didn't know, Pheromosa is one of the legendary Pokemon that is going to be released in the DLC 2 metagame, and it's very likely going to be dropped down into OU to start the metagame off. A lot of Pokemon are going to be things that aren't like uncompetitive, such as Arena Trap and Shadow type, for example, or ridiculous cover legends such as, the Kyogres and Mewtwo's of the world and whatnot. Was Mewtwo ever a cover legendary? I don't know, but you get the point. You get the point. All right. Mewtwo's actually already released. Wow, that was not the best start to this video. But you know what I mean. I mean, the Kyogre, Groudon, Dialga Palkia types, they're not going to be OU, but there's a chance that we might see things like Pheromosa. Or, let's give another example here really quick. Naganadel. We could see those Pokemon potentially. You're not saying anything's 100% yet. It's still being decided, technically speaking. But, yeah, no, I'm going to make a video on it on the high likelihood that it's going to be released. So, yeah. It could very well end up broken, and here's why. It has a wide array of attacking options, coupled with some other niche things, so let's get into all these sets that it can use. First off, I think a special set with Quiver Dance is probably going to be viable. I don't know if it'll necessarily be the best set per se, but I think it's going to be strong. Last generation, it really flourished with this set with Z Hyper Beam, and unfortunately it doesn't have the Z move option nowadays, so breaking past fairy types like Clefable, Tapu Fini, even things like Tapu Koko is going to be a bit more challenging with these sets, as you can't really do much with them besides, say, a neutral unstab ice beam or a resistant stab move. So you got to be careful, but all in all, it can definitely work through it. Keep in mind, it does still have 137 base special attack, and if you give it a modest nature, which you absolutely can afford to do, it's still going to outrun things like Tapu Koko, modest Dragapult, Timid, Adamant Zero Aura, Alakazam, etc. All the things down there in those P tiers, and it's obviously still slower than priority. It's fine. Quiver Dance at +1 is gonna make it faster than everything. It probably even has a chance of actually not. If it's modest, it's slower than X Drill and Sand. If it's timid, then it becomes quicker than X Drill and Sand, I guess. So yeah, that's worth noting. But it's actually quicker than Kingdra Rain after Quiver Dance as well. So you can even go with that. But all in all, I think there's a lot of things that lend itself to Pheromosa's viability, and while this set may not be the best, it's absolutely going to destroy teams that have their fairy type chipped or just unprepared teams in general. So I'm really curious to see how this works. It's worth noting that, again, Focus Blast isn't the most reliable move, so it can miss, but you don't have Z moves to bolster the accuracy and power, so you kind of change it off, say, okay, I'm going to risk a miss chance, I'm going to get more power with my Life Orb, and hopefully it'll do the trick. It could also just function as an all-out special attacker if you don't have a chance to get Quiver Dance up, because the bulk clearly isn't very good. It has only 71, 37, 37 bulk, so you got to be careful on that end of the spectrum, but all in all, I think this set can be a powerhouse in the metagame. In addition to this set, I also think that kind of a mixed attacking pivot set, maybe more physically oriented, could be cool. And I say that because it gained access to close combat, which is a more reliable fighting stab than either High Jump Kick, which uses in the physical in the last generation, or Focus Blast, which, needless to say, can miss pretty often as well. So yeah. With a Pokemon this fragile, again, missing one time could be a death sentence, so you absolutely have to be careful. I mean, it's turn 1, you're against a Heatran. If you miss, Lava Plume's taking you out, or it's, turn 6, you're against a Ferrothorn, Gyro Ball. If it happens, Threat can kill you, or Power might even have a chance to 2 kill you, so you absolutely have to be careful in those scenarios, but all things considered, there's a lot going for it. And by the way, before we get into this set and more, I just want to say I recently made a Twitter account for my YouTube channel. It's up and popping. I've been, tweeting some things out. I've actually responded to one of Blunder's tweets earlier, and it's been fun. But yeah, no, I'm just getting followers now. And if you guys want to, get more instant updates on the channel and hear my thoughts on stuff, definitely shoot me a follow. I'd love interacting with you guys, and be sure to respond as much as possible. I'm at the point where I'm still able to tolerate having notifications on my phone, but that might change in the near future. But either way, I'll be checking it very routinely. So yeah, if you want to check me out there, I'll leave the link to it in the description. And also, if you want to maybe click subscribe to the channel, as only about 60 to 65% of my viewers are currently subscribed. That'd be great. We're trying to hit down 6-7k once all the DLC stuff's up, and we're only at like 5.2 5.3k right now, so let's get up and running. Let's get popping, guys. Let's really expand this channel. I want to reach out and help as many people as I can, so yeah, that would mean the world to me if you guys could check that out. But anyway, let's talk about Pheromosa, because I love me some Mosa. It gains access to Drill Run, which is the main coverage it has to things like Toxapex or any poison type in general. If you're facing a random Garbodor or a Galarian Weezing, then you're going to need Drill Run to really do much damage to it. And you got to be careful in approaching that, all things considered. Ice Beam is still going to be used on this set because you really need something to hit Pokemon like Landorus T, which otherwise can absolutely hard-wall physical sets. And we'll get to a set that actually might struggle with Landorus T a bit later, and also simply gives you one shot on Garchomp. with 137 base special attack, you don't really need the investment to kill it unless it's a very, very bulky Garchomp, and you're going to be eviscerating Landorus T regardless, which makes it a check to the stab, but it's a very deceptive check as it actually is dying to its primary coverage move that's going to be on most sets. So, yeah, all things considered, Pheromosa is just going to be a potent mixed attacker with sets like these, and I think Heavy Duty Boots suits it nicely because you could bluff Choice, bluff Quiver Dance, bluff whatever you want to do and switch a move while also not taking repeated damage from Stealth Rock and Spikes. And odds are if you're facing something you can't kill or force out, then you're going to be clicking that U-turn button. So you don't really want to be taking Life Orb when you have U-turn, and you don't want to be taking hazard damage if you're U-turning out frequently. So therefore, I personally believe that Heavy Duty Boots would be the item that fits this set the most. Next up, there's also a pivot set that it's going to forego the coverage move to hit things like the aforementioned Toxapex and Galarian Wheezing in Drill Run. It's going to keep Ice Beam, of course, because Landorus T is going to be prevalent and Garchomp's going to be pretty common. And it's going to go for Rapid Spin, so it lets you kind of spin away opposing hazards, and it makes you as fast as humanly possible if that really matters at all. But it's mainly for hazard removal. It's a fast emergency button spinner, and since it matches pretty nicely with some specific steel and rock-type hazard setters like Heatran, Ferrothorn, Tyranitar, it actually can potentially force them out and get the rapid spin off and then U-turn out to get some damage off. So that's definitely a net positive sequence for you if that's what you're interested in. Yeah, I mean, close combat plus Ice Beam is pretty strong. Unfortunately, it's going to add Toxapex and Galarian Wheezing, as I said before, to the list of things that wall alongside Fairy types, but you can potentially live with that. It really depends. I think this set will be alright, but nothing absolutely spectacular due to it being walled by a handful of things, but the checks and counters to it kind of vary set dependent, and I think that really complements Pheromosa. The versatility highlights how effective it may very well be in the metagame due to the sheer strength that it is able to possess. Moreover, speaking of something that's kind of able to function as a bit more of a lure or a surprise, with Drill Run and Poison Jab as cover moves, coupled with strong stab-boosted close combat and U-turn, a Choice Band Pheromosa could be an appealing option as well. While it does miss out on hitting Landorus T, consistent U-turns and or close combats are still able to wear it out, especially if it's taking a knockoff or it's not a leftovers variant, because a lot could be running Choice Scarf or offensive items due to being Swords Dance, and because of that, you'll definitely be able to wear them out in the long haul, coupled with the fact that you're faster without even a Choice Scarf, you're running Choice Band, which makes it ridiculously strong on the physical attacking end. I mean, I would not want to be getting in the way of this. You can also run something like Throat Chop if you want to hit Pokemon like Aegislash, which I haven't mentioned much yet, but it is a very good wall for most of these moves besides Drill Run. And Throat Chop also gives you some mid-ground options when you want to hit something like Gengar or Dragapult. When you lack something like an Ice Beam to hit them at least neutrally, and Drill Run, locking the Drill Run's hard. But then again, locking the Throat Chop isn't much better, so it's more of an OO option, which I'm going to get to in a bit, the other options. But yeah, with that said, it's definitely a really promising prospect if you want to hit hard in the physical end. And speaking of hitting hard, with our topic of today, Pheromosa, there's also Choice Spec sets, which can run Focus Blast, Bug Buzz, Ice Beam, and U-turn. Specs for Ice Beam and honestly Spec Stab Boots are going to do very, very large chunks of damage all in all. I think it can be great. I mean, you can still wall, like Toxapex destroys the set, honestly, but short of that and maybe things like especially Defensive Clef, it's going to be hard to wall this set, and you can even U-turn out against those Pokemon to take advantage of them. So yeah, all in all, I think Choice Specs Pheromosa, assuming it hits its Focus Blast, is going to be a very strong and fast Pokemon. You definitely don't want to mess with this considering it's got the 137 base special attack, and it's really strong. Of course, it's still vulnerable to hazards and very fragile, and any priority will just absolutely decimate it. But yeah, no, if it's able to get in safely, it's going to do its job. There are some other options. Double Kick's an option if you're facing things like Leech, Sash, Terrakion, or Excadrill, and you want to be able to take them out without, letting them get an attack off or get rocks up. Double Kick can do the trick there, but it's going to be hard to fit it. And as I mentioned before, Throat Chop is a viable option too. Hitting things like Aegislash and Gengar, Dragapult, although other coverage moves can potentially do the trick there as well, so you got to be careful when you use it, kind of compressing things if you will. In addition to that, there's also the potential for using Lunge as a non-U-turn physical bug stab. Lunge is actually not a very well-known move, but it has 80 base power and always lowers the opponent's attack by 1, which could come in handy seeing how frail you are. You could lunge into like a Landorus, and then all of a sudden you'll live in Earthquake or whatever it might be, or live it more comfortably anyway. And also, if you're running Corviknight Dance set, you can potentially fit Roost on if you don't mind not having Ice Beam. Ice Beam really only hits things like Landorus T and gives you neutral coverage on Fairy types anyway, so, take it if you want, don't take it if you don't want. It's totally cool. I believe these are all very fringe at best, with none of them probably seeing much more than 5-10% usage on Pheromosa, but they're all worth noting. There are other options as well, such as say Facade if you're scared of getting status in a Choice Band set, or Blizzard if you're feeling on the edge, or whatever you might want to do. Toxic can cripple specific things. Taunt can stop setup, I guess, but no one's really setting up for Pheromosa. They're just trying to kill it. So yeah, there aren't many things at Pheromosa's disposal besides these, but this is really all it needs. And however, despite having all that at its disposal, there are still some checks and counters to Pheromosa, so let's get into it really quick. You're going to notice that a lot of these are Ghost, Fairy, or Poison types, and yeah, some Fire types as well. Clefable is going to be able to resist both stabs, but it's got to watch out for Poison Jab or boosted special attacks. Moonblast should be able to one-shot a Pheromosa, even having a chance to do so after a combine boost of just a little chip. So, yeah, it just highlights how frail Pheromosa is and how well Clefable can do against it. Clefable always going to 1v1 it, but it does watch about switching into, especially to physical or mixed sets. So, yeah, just proceed with caution and you should be good to go. Next up, there's Toxpex, which again will resist to stabs, and Scald should do a chunk, but you might have to watch out for Quiver Dance sets. Gonna have to get that haze off ASAP, and also stretch out for Drill Run, but it does have Rocky Helmet, and it can punish things like U-Turn. So, all in all, I think Clef and Toxpex are kind of 1A and 1B in terms of really premier check/counters of Pheromosa, and once you get past those two, it definitely goes downhill a bit. Finny is a good answer as well, but it lacks the durability, i.e. it doesn't have recovery outside leftovers, and you might be seeing heavy-duty boots in it. I guess it could run a Draining Kiss set, which can potentially help heal it up, but it lost the power there. It really depends, and Finny is more of a situational Pokemon meant to serve as a defensive utility, so you got to be careful there if you're running a non-defog Moonblast kind of niches bad set like this. Combine sets might see some usage, though. You never know. Stranger things have absolutely happened. Anyway, Aegislash also is not only immune to Fighting Stab, but unfortunately can't bounce back the high jump kick for 50% damage like it did prior, but it also has access to Stab, like Shadow Sneak, which can come in handy, but it also is able to resist fighting, resist bug, resist ice, and be immune to poison too. So really the only thing they could hit it with would be a rare Drill Run or Throat Chop, which again we did allude to before, but they don't seem like the most popular and easy to click options when you're using something so strong and, you know, set in stone is a Pheromosa, if you will. So all in all, I think Aegislash is kind of like the third. And then once you get to Finny tier, then it kind of drops off, I guess, due to lack of durability. But also, well, Aegislash lacks durability. You can't really chip it down with like U-turn because it's so resisted. And, you know, you can run King Shield leftovers, etc., etc. So yeah, it really depends on the situation, the set, the team, etc. Though. So just proceed with caution. Because it's a Pheromosa and it can sweep the crap out of you at any point in time. You know, yeah. Next up, we have two Pokemon that also resist to stab and don't really mind the alternatives very much due to lack of rock move or water move from Pheromosa's moveset. Volcarona and Moltres, two Pokemon that very much benefit from heavy duty boots. Volcarona we've already seen in the current metagame flourish quite a bit, whereas Moltres will definitely be another Pokemon that's gonna at least see some viability and maybe a slight bit of usage in the OU metagame once DLC 2 comes out. Neither of these Pokemon are going to be absolute world beaters in the immediate future, I believe, once the metagame shifts so much, but they'll definitely pose well against Pheromosa. Should be able to 1v1 it with ease, being able to one-shot them with, you know, either move you see in these sets, whereas on the flip side, can't really take a ton of return. Maybe like a Choice Band, Close Combat can do the trick, but that's about it, and it shouldn't even want to kill out to be more of a 2-kill. So yeah, if you're able to play your Volcarona and Moltres well, you should be alright against Pheromosa in most scenarios. In addition, there are 6 more checks and counters that I'd like to consider. Buzzwole, it resists both stabs, and it doesn't die to a single Ice Beam, and it can kill that back from a relatively high health, if not full. I think that Buzzwole is actually going to be underrated in the current metagame. I think Boots probably is going to be more common, and maybe not 4 attacks. I don't know. It kind of needs all these to hit everything. Close Combat, you know, obviously it's Steel types, and, you know, Strong Fighting Stab, Earthquake for Toxpex, Poison Jab for Fairy types, Ice Punch for Landorus T, but regardless of that, you could run Roost over Ice Punch or whatever you might want to run, Bulk Up, Substitute, etc. If with an Assault Vest, it's a really good answer to Buzzwole, to Pheromosa, and even without it, it should be able to win the 1v1. It stomachs the physical hits and stab moves pretty nicely. It's just got to watch out for stronger special hits due to having pretty low special bulk, and that's why I have an Assault Vest equipped here, but you can really switch it up. Depends on the team, you know. Next up, Gengar and Jolson, two sort of underwhelming ghost types. Specifically, Jolson's very underwhelming. It's actually in NU right now, whereas Gengar, it's hanging on to OU usage, but it's not super great at the moment. But regardless, they're able to be immune to the Fighting Stab, resist the Bug Stab, and while Gengar will definitely die to 2 or 3 Ice Beams depending on the situation, but it can kill in one hit back and deter stab usage. U-turn won't really do much either, whereas Jolson can tank that, and it really only minds things like Throat Chop. Gengar also has to watch out for Drill Run, so Gengar barely qualifies for this list in all honesty. There are many scenarios where it can get 1-shot or 2-shot, but it can always kill in return, and it takes both stabs, so, you know, you take what you can get. And as for Jolson, it's just a complete hard counter if it lacks something like Toxic or Throat Chop, and that's great for Jolson users all around. And then we have a couple fairy types in Azumarill and Weezing Not the best long-term answers. Weezing for example, gets eviscerated by a boosted special attack, specifically Ice Beam that hits neutrally. As for Azumarill, Poison Jab it has to watch out for. Aqua Jet shouldn't kill unless it's Choice Banded, and on top of that, it's not going to want to take repeated stab moves, but it can take 1 or 2 for sure. And finally, last but not least, especially for checking special sets, there's also Mantine. Mantine serves as a nice special wall right now, counter to Volcarona, and some Combine Clef lacking electric move, which is cool with Haze, and it can pose as a defogger while also being resistant to both stabs for Pheromosa and not minding Drill Run, unlike other potential checks like Weezing Galar, Gengar, and Toxapex, and Aegislash. So yeah, that's helpful. All in all, there are definitely some checks and counters. There's definitely some counterplay to Pheromosa, but is it ample counterplay for it to remain balanced in the metagame? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though, because I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. And thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I'm loving the direction the channel is going. Be sure, again, to check out the Twitter that I just made for the channel. And have a great day, /night, /morning, whatever the hell it is. I'm going to be uploading this sometime early to mid-Thursday. So yeah, check it out, and have a great day, guys. Peace.